Omemam, omemam, omemai, Obano Yomema. Omemam, omemai, omemai, Obano Yomema. Omemma dimma chukune na miya dimma. Omemma dimma chukune mamma. Omemma dimma dadini na mamma. Omemma obatobiye. Omemma mo Obano yomemma. Omemma chukune na mamma. Omemma chukune na mamma. Omemma chukune na mamma. Omemma Obano yomemma ubedike. Omemma mo omemma omemma Obano yomemma omemma Obano yomemma Buruwo Meyemuna Buruwo Meyemuna Nedigwe Obezie mahụghị ya otito dịrị ya oburuwo Meyemuna tụọnụ ya onye nwanyị lụrụ ọlụ ọma n'ụwa tobe ya onye na-eme mma tobe Chukwu tobe ya onye nwe m lụrụ ọlụ ọma n'ụwa ya Igbo rikwenne ụtụtụ ọma ehihie ọma mgbede ọma depending your time zone ga-adị ka echi maka na echi adịghị agwụ ka anyị na-agwa ya onye isonye m what are you waiting for? Click the like button, subscribe, comment, share if anyị na-ekwu na nke ikpeazụ oye n'oye. If you are just coming across our channel for the very first time, you are welcome. This is Kelena TV. We are live and we are direct, bringing you the gospel of redemption by your doctor. If I na-eme common sense, the reason I brought in my gaa school, I just want to make common sense as always. Monday for men and women of good way. The lovers of truth and the supporters of truth. Your day break. May Ezechiel can show you kindness. May he God reign supreme. This month, he God Almighty is the source. May he release blessings and good health upon us all. Now Ezechiel Gabiama. He said, Tochi Norian Makamele. Nobisi Obi Omakamele. Tochi Norian Nomakamele is when you join, kindly touch the like button. We are live and we are direct, preaching the gospel of redemption by your doorstep. If today is your first time coming across our channel, I am a content creator, political analyst, a preacher of the gospel of redemption, asking Ezechiel for anointing to preach this gospel to mankind. This month, be in expectation. The God whom is the source, every help is able to man must surely locate us all. What if from one of our brother, Chidi Odinkalu, he dropped some messages to Bongorians. Chidi no, he dropped some messages to Bongorians, and we are going to watch it together. We are watching it together. Easy way, no, Amaka Mele, no, Rihanna, easy way. Tochi Dalo. Kelena, my brother, I'm still begging for food. What the reason, mana, this month, Chukwu ya mere onwe ya n'ime ndụ gị, just be in expectation. Na-agbakwa mbọ ka nna agwa ya, na-agba mbọ, nwere onye dị iri isi. Ihe whatever the reason, but be in expectation. Come back it up with a zimbo. Back it up with a zimbo. No slack. Here they go. Opening where the message show be an amen do I need. Right, move.
Was it not Delemo Modu? When 3 years ago, who wrote an adulatory piece on the president and called him was Capo di tutti capi. Who do you call Capo di tutti capi? Is the boss of all mafia bosses. Again, I'm not making anything up. I'm just looking at the evidence. You have the chief judge of the Federal Capital Territory moving himself from his office with his and going to the office of the minister of the FCT to tell the minister of the FCT, we are part of government too, and we have a duty government for you function. That is not credible interdependence. That is judicial corruption.
So if I hear you, we may just witness a coronation next year in January.
Possible. Yes. But as I said, let me repeat myself. There'll be a third time.
Wow. So even beyond the coronation, we should just prepare for the long haul.
Because a lot of politicians are thinking, oh, well, let's wait for 2031. President Tinubu has not done this.
Just for 4 years.
Just for additional another 4 years. There will be a third term. And anybody who is doing it is not our portion of that, is not reading the evidence. And in any case, the current National Assembly is not a parliamentary one. It is, many people have called it rubber stamp, but I think that is actually abusive of rubber stamps. I think this National Assembly is a disgrace. If you can change your national anthem in less than 24 hours with no public hearing, public consultation, no public involvement, it tells you with national anthem.
Changing of national anthem without consultation. That is the man just or also Rabinian decide what to do. Just be alone, decide on what to do.
The win. A national anthem is fundamental to the construction of a national magical legislation. Right? And what's the latest? We introduced the to create state police, basically to fundamentally reorder policing, which is the first power and responsibility of a responsible state. And we do it in less than 2 hours. We do first reading, second reading, committee stage, passage, in less than 2 hours. Who does that? And I'm not the person saying it. He's the majority leader, and he's a former PA to the current president. So we've got to take him seriously. Once we finish our election, we're going to amend our constitution, introduce a single 6-year presidential term. The current incumbent will be elected until 2031. In 2031, what will happen? The question will be, will he be entitled to run on the 6th term? Then get the best senior advocates in Nigeria telling you law is not retrospective.
This is Nigeria Unfiltered on Symphony TV. My name is Olawale Oluwade, and my guest today is my very good friend and brother, Professor over the world. So I'm not going to spare you because I don't know when next I'm going to see you. So nice to have you.
Same here.
And you look very good.
Well,
The realities of many Nigerians. So give us your assessment, 3 years assessment of this administration.
it doesn't read good. That's to put it rather mildly, to be perfectly honest with you. But I think the thing that encapsulates it all is the spokesperson for the administration, Egmo Bayo Ononuga, going on national television to say he did not see the hunger in the country, right? And mind you, Nigeria is in the top 5 of the global league tables of internal displacement, right? The only countries that beat us are Sudan, Syria, and I believe now DRC. We beat Afghanistan in internal displacement, all right? Now, internal displacement by definition comes with hunger. We've got close to 4 million people who are internally displaced in Nigeria. Now, that does not account for the rise, the exponential rise in the industry in abductions, which means that people cannot go to the farms. And for anyone who has traveled around Nigeria, one thing is notable about traveling in the middle belt of Nigeria: Plateau, Nasarawa, Kogi, and Benue states in particular. Now, if you've gone to Benue State, going from Makurdi through past Boko to Katsina Allah, at that Katsina Allah junction, one thing you will never miss is the quantity of rotting fruits, oranges, mangoes, produce at different times of the farming of the season, of the harvest season. Go there today. You don't see any produce rotting, right? Of course, I'm not celebrating rotting produce, but the reason they are not rotting is not because there is a new industry sucking up all of those and processing it into value-added production. It is because people are not able to go to the farms. Why are people not able to go to the farms? Abductions. What's the consequence of that? Hunger, food insecurity, nutritional insecurity. The fact that the presidency is unaware and is happy to advertise its lack of awareness of the depth of hunger. I'm not going to go into inflation numbers, but the fact that the presidency is unwilling and unable to see the hunger in the country, I think, tells all the story there is to tell.
That's amazing. You know, the special advisor that you referenced, Mr. Bayo Ononuga, actually dug deeper, you know, when he was challenged by Charles Aniogolu to say, I mean, he has domestic staff, and that they tell him, their feedback is that they are fine.
Of course, what are they going to tell him? That they're not fine. That they're dying of hunger under his watch, so that he'll fire them. Or he'll arrange to say that they're disparaging the administration in which their boss is working. Of course, they're not going to tell him that. But the fact that he lacks the skills, the attention, the bandwidth, and the empathy,
emotional intelligence,
to understand where things are in the country is itself very telling. People are coming at you with all manner of demands. If people think that the fact that you're able to dress yourself and maybe go out in a car in Nigeria means that you cannot avoid the village tax. Well, that's what I call it, it's the village tax. That means what? People who come from your neighborhood or who come at you with all manner of demands. You don't have to like it. And now the demographics of the people who come at you with the village tax is always a source of intelligence as to the degree of hardship that you have. And the fact that nobody is going to, I'm working on the basis of his claims, the fact that nobody is going to ignore Bayo with village tax demands is itself very telling.
Mm-hmm. And I want you to also speak to the fact that he spoke like someone who lives in a cocoon.
Because he does.
In a gilded cage,
because he does. The presidency is a gilded cage. Absolutely is a gilded cage. And that was how it was conceived. That's how it is built. And that's how they're detached from reality.
But it wasn't always like this, Chidi. Am I wrong?
When was it not?
I mean, with President Obasanjo, for instance, I was close to people who were very close. I was close to him, and I was close to people who were very close to him. The presidents Obasanjo that I know had reach to anybody in any part of this country. He could call anybody to get first-hand assessment of what's going on anywhere in Nigeria.
Correct. Now, there are two sides to that. At the personal level, Obasanjo had the reach, the personal networks. You know, he had worked in the army, he'd worked everywhere in the country, he'd run the country before. So he had the personal reach and connections to reach to any part of the country. And it's the nature of military leadership also, strategic leadership training, to put you in that position to be able to access what you need, the assets that you need to reach the right kinds of decisions. And he leveraged that exceptionally well. It's also the fact that when he needed to, he retreated to that gilded cage in order to take decisions that were adverse to the interests of the country. And in my view, the trajectory we've navigated since President Obasanjo left power is a legacy, is part of the toxic legacy that he left behind. Whether it is, first of all, what he did in terms of his succession after failing the third term bid, and secondly, what he did with the 2007 elections. If Obasanjo had left us with a legacy of half-decent elections in 2007, we wouldn't be here. So at some level, Obasanjo and that gilded cage that he created in order to wreak vengeance in the aftermath of a country that spurned his desire for a third term is why we're here.
Also, what can be deduced from Mr. Bayo Ononuga's claims is that the government is insular. The President Tinubu government is seriously insular.
Now, you see, this is my problem. Obviously, I'm Igbo, I'm Chidi, and I'm unapologetic about the fact that I'm Igbo, right? But I think, quite honestly and sadly, that the Yoruba race is being made to take the fall for what hardly they have anything to do with. Okay? Yes, the way you put it, the names are from one part of the country, but it's not the names. Now, yes, the names may be Yoruba, but Tinubu is not even making an attempt to run a pan-Yoruba agenda. No. I've lived in Lagos for pretty much 40 years. My primary home is in the Southwest. Okay? And many of these people are people I know. These are not, they're not there because somebody is trying to draw from Yoruba land. They are there because somebody is replicating their personal court. This is President Tinubu's personal court from way back. The only people who are not there are people who have chosen not to be there, or people who have chosen not to be courtiers anymore. So Aregbe is no longer a courtier, so he's not there. BRF has chosen to return to legal practice. I'm not going to go beyond saying just that, right? Now, so we've got those kinds of people, okay? And obviously, Oshibajo has won his freedom. But so when you discount for the people who are no longer courtiers, what you're left with are people who may answer names that sound Yoruba, but as a matter of fact, are just members of the president's personal court. That's why they are there. And unlike Obasanjo, who could count on networks from across Nigeria, President Tinubu cannot. His networks from outside Yoruba land are political networks. They are not people, because he has not gone to school. He cannot count on school networks. He has not done youth service. He cannot count on youth service networks. He has not worked in the kinds of places Nigerians work, so he cannot count on those networks. He has not worked in these uniform services. He cannot count on those networks.
Professional associations.
He cannot count on those either. So what is left? It is politics. It's all politics. Okay? So that's why, when Obasanjo wanted to do terrible things or wanted to do things with people whom he could trust, he went back to the military. And he could draw them from anywhere. When President Jonathan looked for people whom he could count on, he went back to his university days or youth service days. Right? So it's like when President Yar'Adua wanted to do certain kinds of things, he also returned to the days, either his days as a university teacher or his days organizing earlier movements with his late elder brother. Right? Now, when President Buhari was looking for people whom he could trust, he drilled back to memories and networks of earlier service and earlier strategic alliances. That's not what you're looking at here. All of President Tinubu's networks have been built around personal fealty. And that's what you're seeing.
Interesting. News broke, from Reuters. They broke a story, reporting that the Tinubu administration has spent 8.8 trillion naira, 8.8 trillion naira, equivalent of 2.8% of our entire GDP, off the books, the way the mafia world calls it, under the table. And IMF actually were the ones that
I saw the report.
That gave that report.
I saw that report last
reported by Reuters, and of course now it's all over the place. What's your response to this?
Well, I think I read a release over the weekend by the finance minister claiming this is not on. I'm not quite sure I would characterize him well, but what I understood him to have said is that this is deficit spending. It's not missing money. It is deficit spending. The question, however, is how do you spend to nearly 3% of your GDP in additional deficit? Because mind you, the deficit has been rising, right? And our budget since the beginning of this administration, the first full budget was 2024. 2024, 2025, 2026 budgets are all the deficit budgets. Now, if they are saying that this 8 and a bit trillion is deficit spending, was that deficit appropriated by the National Assembly? It does not seem to me as if it was appropriated. If it was not appropriated, how was it accrued? Because that is extra budgetary deficit. How do you then account for it, and how is it financed? How do you and if you are accruing deficit at this rate, and then the CBN is holding the MPC rate at 26 steady, something is not computing, because deficits have to be financed somehow. And when you're looking at extra budgetary deficit at this volume, so let's accept the story, this is not missing money, this is deficit financing. How do you account for that in the framework of the underlying structure of an economy that is governed and serviceable? It does not make sense to me at this particular time.
And I saw a report, because over the weekend, so many analysts have, financial analysts, experts have given their reading of the entire situation. And this 8.8 trillion, the bulk of it is tied to the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway,
which was begun without an environmental impact assessment.
Not just that would have been, it's bad, but without, it was
no bidding,
incepted, no due process,
yes,
no public bidding process,
yes,
no institutional, vetting process,
correct,
ICRC,
yes,
BP, and all of those, So 4.6 of this 8.8 is on that. Likewise, I think Badagry Sokoto Highway, another chunk of that, 1.7 or so. Also, the notorious issue of the 150 billion naira purchase of the presidential jet. Can you speak to this?
No, I don't have to speak to it. Look, I'll be perfectly brutal with you. This is election financing money. It's fairly straightforward. Okay?
Election financing.
This is election financing. Look, let's be honest about this. There is no Lagos Calabar coastal road.
No, there's something Dave Mai is.
That road is not going to cross Lagos State. Now, look, you don't wake up overnight and do Lagos Calabar Coastal Road with no ESIA, Environmental and Social Impact Assessment. And then, you then walk your way back to a pro forma report after it's brought to you. Because that's a very delicate, fragile ecological territory, that littoral, Atlantic littoral, right? Now, we have an east-west road that is not done, and that has not been done for over 25 years. It is still, there's a bunch of craters and stuff, right? Now, if you're looking at doing government and doing governance properly, what do? The easiest thing to do is to finish the east-west, ensure the completion of the east-west road. If you want to even litter the place with contracts, you can still do that on the East-West Road, right? Now, taking on a new so-called Lagos Calabar Coastal Road does not make sense.
It's not, you know.
It cannot make sense to anyone except in the framework of extracting money in order to create a political partisan war chest for all manner of things, to be done around elections. It's not much different. Sokoto, whatever coastal, Badagry coastal, what nonsense. Do they think we're all idiots? No, the fact of the matter is the regime is looking to make money, extract some money through people or to people whom it trusts to hold the money ahead of an election season where they kind of have butterflies, even though they don't have any reason to have butterflies. They own the judges, they own INEC chairman, they own the systems and infrastructure for elections. They can write their results if they're to the extent that they want. So what are they complaining? Why are they worried?
Chidi, I mean, these are very serious stuff. You're putting, you're putting out here. What is you cannot spend, no matter whether you're the president or minister, you cannot spend Nigeria's money without appropriation, duly approved by the National Assembly, the two houses of the National Assembly. This was one of them.
That should be the law.
Yes, that's the standard. That's the process.
Yeah.
But this wasn't. And we're here talking about, why did it have to be flagged by the IMF?
I wouldn't have a clue if the administration wants to run things. But what is not being flagged by people? Now we are in a situation in which we are being told that we have appropriated money for an entity that did not exist to a person run by a person who is supposedly a professional fraudster, except that that person is running an entity to which money is appropriated, staff are designated, and is having encounters with everybody in the system, and has an office in the Federal Secretariat. And so the person is fully documented and bureaucratized, and yet we are asked to believe that this person did not exist. So look, everything is make-believe, and you choose what you wish to believe and what you choose not to believe. But at the end of the day, we're not data boys and data girls, okay? We're not existing at the say-so of people who want us to cure daily impoverishment. And at some level, as citizens, we've got to exercise imagination and read the tea leaves, and the tea leaves don't lie.
Atiku has come out strongly on this 8.8 trillion naira. Wrote it's very scathing, I think, on his X handle, put it out there. I think Peter Obi likewise has spoken to this. In fact, Peter Obi went as far as calling for the president to resign, not just because of this 8.8, but because of the other one you referenced, and we'll come to it shortly. Are the opposition doing enough? No. Are they actually playing the role of opposition, and are they doing enough?
I want to switch. I want to suggest we undertake a mental effort and switch sides. So think about the opposition as the ruling party and think about APC as the opposition. Would the situation be the same? I don't think so. That should answer your question. The thing is, I don't think gentlemen and women can effectively oppose this current setup that we've got. No.
So what would it take?
It would take something quite radically different from what Atiku and Co are doing. That's my view.
That's interesting. Let's talk about this allegation that you referenced. The chief of staff to the president, Femi Gbajabiamila, has been enmeshed in a raging controversy with a certain prince, Adeniyi Adeyemi Matthews. Some have said even the prince, we need to properly dig into that title, But he alleged that he was appointed as the DG of the Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council. He got a letter from the Chief of Staff's office, and then budgetary provisions. He met with everybody that needed to be, to meet with in the hierarchy of our governance structure. But then, of course, when the news broke sometime November last year, it was promptly denounced and denied, repudiated by the chief of staff. But then, of course, he was arrested also by the cops, by the police, and then they investigated. They go between, this guy alleged that he gave Femi Gbajabiamila 400 million naira upfront to procure that appointment, leaving a balance of 200 million. Chidi, before can you just speak to this? How did you receive when this whole thing and what you've witnessed? What's this all about? This is Nigeria we're talking about, the presidency of Nigeria.
But politics has been reduced to organized crime in Nigeria, so none of this is any. Yes, politics has been reduced to organized crime in the country. None of this reads.
No, Chidi, we're talking about the presidency. This is not a political party. This is not something somewhere in a village in Nigeria, somewhere in a remote village in
the presidency exists in a village.
Or Igbomoso. No, we're talking about the presidency of Nigeria in Abuja, Sorok.
My brother, you see, the values of the village the kinds of villages that you and I know in Nigeria and grew up in are more elevated than the values of our politics. That's the fact. So let's not speak about our villages like they are uncivilized. Our villages actually embody transcendental values, very transcendental values. And those values cannot be compared, or the values that undergird our politics and govern them today cannot be compared to the values of our villages at all, or to the values of our ancient empires and kingdoms and communities. Absolutely not. So let's look at the facts as they are. Right now, by the way, this is not the first time that we're having these kinds of things happen. If you remember, Delegiwa's assassination was the investigation originally was led by DIG. Yes. Now, Chrisomaba's team was forensic team was led by Tunjidare's brother, the same Tunjidare of the Guardian.
Exactly.
Professor
Tunjidare. Yes.
Thank you.
Editor-in-chief.
And he was a chief superintendent of police. How did he die? In the course of that investigation, he was told to come and report a debrief with folks in Abuja. He was coming to Abuja. He died in a car crash. His car ended up somewhere. He was dead. Nobody could account for how he died. That's how that investigation ended. And today we keep asking who killed Delegiwa, right? It's not much different. So the lines of evidence, we've always found a way to destroy lines of evidence, whether you're talking of Necom building fire, 1984, or down to this time. It's not much, it's organized crime. Okay, people want to share money. People are very invested in sharing money, acquiring things that have a sell-by date. And so we end up in this situation. The biggest defense that's been lodged by the presidency is an arcane bureaucratic thing that his so-called letter of appointment was issued by the chief of staff and not by the SGF. The SGF will only issue letters of appointment to scheduled agencies and institutions, okay, to statutory bodies. So if it is a statutory appointment, the SGF issues the letter because those are under the cabinet office. But if it is not a statutory, if it is a presidential body, an ad hoc entity, it is the chief of staff. So that's not a defense. The fact of the matter is, this is no fraud on the part of whosoever this guy is. Anybody, I'm a prince. Every one of us in Nigeria is a prince. If you're the son of a chief, you're a prince. These are not hereditary chieftaincies. Our chieftaincies are chieftaincies. If your dad is Otumba, you can call yourself a prince, even though Otumba should not be Oba, right? So this is how people do it these days in Nigeria because we've banalized the values of our villages. The values of our communities have been totally destroyed by politicians. That is how we can, topple a natural stool today and replace them with someone outside the channels of succession. Now, so it's the same thing here, that we are dealing with organized crime manifestly as political power. And that's the cause of everything that we're seeing.
You referenced the defense from the media team saying, oh, the chief of staff does not issue appointments. It's usually the SGF. But I had a former media advisor to the president, under President Goodluck, who says no.
That's obviously not true.
The chief of staff does issue appointments.
Very correct.
The only thing is that the SGF will go to him and say, okay, can you pass this one so we could regularize it properly, documentation properly. But the idea that the chief of staff's office does not issue appointment, he says no, it's not true.
It's fundamentally false, and they know it. But it's also that the SGF does not issue appointments to non-statutory entities, to non-scheduled entities. And this is an ad hoc, supposedly an ad hoc presidential body. Okay? Now, so they did not, that's not the SGF's remit. It is the chief of staff's remit because it is presidential. And that is how it ends up going to the head of service, through whom they allocate offices to him in the federal secretariat. That is how you can get a budget code for it in the appropriations system and in the office of the accountant general. Those are not happenstance. They don't just happen like that.
Chidi, let me shock you and let me shock Nigerians. Since this entire sordid affair broke, a lot of information are coming out, rapidly. One of them that I found over the weekend that really stunned me, like a sucker punch on the chain, was I actually thought it was just the Office of the Chief of Staff and then the National Assembly, the CBN, Accountant General's Office, National Assembly that dropped the ball. But then I saw a direct link to the Secretary of the Government of the Federation's office. A certain director had written to this gentleman, the Prince, approving the appointments of the following cadre of staff.
Exactly.
10 directors on grade level 17.
Correct.
10 directors on grade level 17 to be appointed.
Yes.
20 assistant directors on grade level 15. Dozens of administrative officers. 45 planning officers to be appointed. 32 communications officers to be appointed. 22 investment promotion officers to be appointed. 26 accountants to be appointed. 10 legal officers, procurement officers, program analysts, information officers, statisticians, technical officers, confidential secretaries, drivers, and the like. Chidi, this was a letter that was written from a director in the office of the SGF to this gentleman to go ahead, but to ensure that there is what's it called now, federal character and
yes.
all of those. And Bayo Onanuga has the nerve or the temerity to look us in the eyes and tell us this is fiction.
But look, I don't know whether you saw the piece by Senator Bob.
Not too much.
I believe yesterday or the day before.
Go too little.
Flagging
that.
He made a structural point, which is for a long time, racketeering in high-level appointments in Nigeria has been happening, right? Corruption or pay-to-play appointments has been the order of the day. And I'm sure that, given how long you've been in the business, you've heard previous allegations of people paying to be made ministers, people paying to become presidential aides, the director generals and all of that. This is all part of a pattern that has a history that predates the current administration. This administration quite manifestly has deepened the pathology and has made it a heck of a lot more indiscriminate. But this is nothing new. The idea that someone may have been required to pay 600 million for a presidential appointment issued under the hand of the person who, to whom the money is meant to have been paid is not.
I should beg to differ with you on the last bit of what you just said now. Yes, the rapacity of appointments purchase in our institutions. It's common. It's common now. It used to be strange, but now it's common. It's actually accepted now. Just like parents are buying results for their kids and all of those. But what makes this an outlier in its perfidy, in its sordidness? This is a ghost agency we're talking about here. We're not talking about ghost work. We're talking about ghost agency.
Quite manifestly, and we cannot continue to do it is not my portion as public administration in the country. What does the evidence say? The evidence says that there is an organized crime ring in the presidency. Unquestionably the case. There is no ghost anything. As I said, if we were dealing with just pictures and even a letter from an odd, high-level entity saying, okay, travel to that place, I'd say, yes, there's a ghost agency. But you do not get an account in the central bank as a public entity as a ghost agency. You do not get to stay in the Federal Secretariat and office as a ghost agency
for over a year.
And you surely do not get a budget code as a ghost agency. That is manifestly nonsensical.
Okay, I asked you before, Chidi, and we'll have to come back to it again. How did this so-called phantom, MDA, waltz its way through the National Assembly?
Organized crime. And in any case, the current National Assembly is anything but national or an assembly. And if it's an assembly, it's not a parliamentary one. It is, many people have called it rubber stamp, but I think that is actually abusive of rubber stamps. I think this National Assembly is a disgrace. First of all, and that we've seen several instances. The latest, of course, is the State Police Act or Amendment Bill, right? But now the trial run, the test run, of course, was the national anthem. Changing the national anthem in less than 24 hours. No, and you see, I don't believe that people understand what that fully what in less than 24 hours with no public hearing, no public consultation, no public involvement. It tells you we don't have a country. Because a national anthem, you don't flip national anthems at a whim. A national anthem is fundamental to the construction of a national identity, okay? To the projection of a national personality and to the definition of the kind of country you want to build. If you are changing it, you're saying, folks, my people, we need to rethink who we are and where we're going. You don't do that on a whim. We did exactly that in less than 24 hours and required children to start miming to a national anthem that we had not spent any resources, priming them about. People like me who went to school in the 1970s can remember that national anthem, right? But kids who have been born since the 1980s have nothing to do with that. And people born in the 1980s, forgive me, are no longer kids in any case. Some of them right now may even be, some of them may be grandparents, of course, depending on when they became, active. Now, this is the point. So we did that. And everybody thought, that's the way it should be done. And so what have we done? And so we then developed a trajectory of magical legislation, right? And what's the latest magic? We introduced the bill to create state police, basically to fundamentally reorder policing, which is the first power and responsibility of a responsible state. And we do it in less than 2 hours. We do first reading, second reading, committee stage, passage in less than 2 hours. Who does that? Who does that?
And you did not add the Electoral Act 2026 amendment. That adds some.
That's why I said the latest.
Yes, the latest.
And I don't think people understand where this is headed. There'll be a third term. There will be a third term, and I'm not the person saying it.
If I know,
he's the majority leader, and he's a former PA to the current president. So we've got to take him seriously. So what is it? Senator Bamidele says we need to amend the constitution to introduce a single 6-year presidential term, right? Now, so next, once we finish our elections, we are going to amend our constitution, introduce a single 6-year presidential term. The current incumbent will be elected until 2031. In 2031, what will happen? The question will he be entitled to run on the 6-year term or will he not? Correct? You will then get the best senior advocates in Nigeria telling you law is not retrospective. That is why the administration is supporting the litigation over President Jonathan's tenure. Not because the constitution is not clear, but because they will say there is precedent that says President Tinubu will run in 2031. There will be a third term, and I'm prepared to bet on it. So in 2031, President Tinubu is going to be put forward to run for a new 6-year single tenure. He will do 8 years plus 6 years, that's 14 years. And the governors will be entitled to do that. The first test will be in Anambra State in 2030. We'll all be alive.
Chidi, I want to...
Or 2020, or November 2029.
I want to hope that, you know, your prognosis does not come to pass.
But this is where opposition is failing. Because opposition, I've not said anything here now that I've manufactured. The only thing that is new is the conclusion, but the conclusion is logical.
Of course.
The conclusion flows from the premises and the facts. I've not invented any facts.
Logical flow of them.
But we want to wish away facts. Facts are stubborn. Okay? What are the facts? The constitution is very clear. But the administration is supporting the litigation to say President Jonathan can run. So that when its time comes, it will say, we did not establish this precedent. It's already been established. That's the only thing new here. And that President will support the fact that in 2031, President Tinubu, if there is a 6-year amendment, single tenure, President Tinubu can take benefit of it and run for a new 6-year term. And the judges will say he's entitled to do that because there is precedent.
That is a scary proposition. Let's wrap up on this, Chidi. Some are calling for an independent probe to be set up maybe by the president or...
What is independent probe?
An impartial body outside of the presidency or the bureaucratic structure to probe...
Independent, like Independent National Electoral Commission, right?
No. I mean, maybe such as yourself, you know. I mean, you are the chairman of the National Human Rights Commission, I know. You know, I mean, people like Femi Falana and all of those,
it nearly killed me under an administration, mind you, that was
very
amenable.
benign.
Exactly. Nobody can do that under this administration. Nobody can try under this administration what I did as chair of the National Human Rights Commission. Absolutely not. And I've spoken to several colleagues off record, of course, in the system about what their experiences in this administration. I cannot say it on set.
Okay, so what's the remedy? How do we get out of this? I mean, this cannot be swept under the carpet. This cannot just be allowed to go like that.
Who told you it cannot? Why cannot? Can it not?
I expected I mean, in other environments, and I don't want to mention names, but I mean, so that I'm not accused of, you know, I mean, in America, for instance, in the UK, they don't take instructions from political prime minister, presidents before they do their jobs.
Here, right now, we do.
So the ICPC, the EFCC, what are they waiting for?
Well, the EFCC has become totally risible, without due respect. And I have many friends who are there. The fact of the matter is that the EFCC is no longer a capable institution. Again, I'm just reading the evidence. The EFCC is now chasing cross-dressers. It is going after apprentice Yahoo boys. It is going after apprentice sex workers, right? Now, now you look at the situation. A man who was convicted of stealing over 8 billion naira in 2006 money is the chief whip in the Senate. And what happened? They invented a technicality to discharge him at the Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court that invented that technicality could not even acquit him. That means they tarnish the consequence, the understanding that it's no longer possible for him to live with the presumption of innocence exists. All right. So that is that. The Yahya Bello, the former governor of, well, Governor General, as I call him, of Kogi State, has a ticket to go to the Senate while undergoing trial on charges running into scores of billions.
110 billion.
Yes, he's got a ticket to go to the Senate, correct? And the international school into which he laundered some of that money is offering to return over billion naira to the Kogi State government. Yes? While all of that is happening, who are the people that EFCC is chasing? Bobrisky. As I said, apprentice Yahoo boys carrying laptop computers.
And who wear dreads.
Right? And who wear dreads. Correct? Or who have plaited their hair. That is the amount of derailment the anti-corruption agenda has suffered in the country. And we're supposed to look at that and think that's normal. Now, they will, of course, say, well, they managed to procure the conviction of the former Minister for Power, what's his name? Saleh Mamman.
Yes.
Right? For 33 billion
or something like that, yeah.
33 billion naira. Right?
Naira.
So first of all, who knows Saleh Mamman? He is not in the first, second, or third division of the people we are dealing with. Okay? But secondly, Saleh Mamman was convicted in absentia. That tells you something fundamental about EFCC as it is. When he was convicted, he was not in court. He was resting somewhere, and it was because of hubris on his part and embarrassment as to how can you convict somebody and the person is not even there. That was why they managed to go and smoke him out of where he was enjoying his life in Kaduna, right? And so the idea that there is anything like a fight against corruption happening is beneath laughable. I'm not even going to go into ICPC. So they've now got active, arresting the former minister for science and technology, right? Who is alleged to have forged
the school's university degree and all of that certificate.
That was a man who was cleared by the National Assembly, right? And went through security screening, 3 years pretty much of ministerial service before all of this came through. Where were they while all of that was happening? And why is that happening now? Because he and his state governor are fighting over the entrails of APC in Southeast Nigeria with Tinubu Zodima. That is the context to this. So, and they've got to put him away so that they can hand over the structure of the APC in Southeast ahead of the elections to a new person whom they are supporting, who is his state governor. That's the story. So this is not about fighting corruption. This is about instrumentalizing the entities meant to fight corruption in private political battles. So we're not serious.
Wow. So this matter will just go like that.
I am saying, who is going to invest? Let me repeat myself. The country is run as an organized crime ring. Who is going to want to expose themselves to the infrastructure of organized crime? No, nobody who is serious, who has something to do, will want to do that. And the only person who will want to do that, the person who wants to make peace with organized crime. Was it not Dele Momodu, when 3 years ago, who wrote an adulatory piece on the current president and called him was Capo di tutti capi? Who do you call Capo di tutti capi? Is the boss of all mafia bosses. Again, I'm not making anything up. I'm just looking at the evidence.
This is scary, Chidi. Well, I hope you're wrong. That's what I can say.
I also wish
because the police are actually taking this guy to court.
I wish to be wrong.
But something lends solid evidence to what you're saying. This guy was arrested November last year when all of the shenanigans blew. But it was after that arrest that actually got the CBN code and all of that.
No,
the budget code was after that he got the budget code.
By the way, let's be clear. The Nigeria Police Force is not an incapable institution. When they are willing to do work, they do work. The SSS is not an incapable institution. When they want to work, they work. But what is it? we've got bandits, we've got terrorists. They're arresting Shawore and sending him to jail, or they're arresting Tunde Ayeni, or they are keeping Nasir El-Rufai. I mean, it's not like he's a man whom I particularly love, but we know why he is in detention, right? Now, so those are the people around whom we are wasting the assets of law enforcement. We're not using law enforcement and our security capabilities to protect the country. We are using them to settle political scores.
This is Dami Chidi. Let's switch gears to something I mean, that's your natural habitat. In your own column, some years back, you warned the Nigerian judiciary was going back to the 1993 era. The 1993 collapse of the judiciary. Is the Nigerian judiciary, in 2026, is it a more captured, is it a more captured institution than the 1993 version?
I think so. Yes. The capture is obviously scaled up. I mean, of course, a lot of young people who watch this will say what happened in 1993, and it was slow in the making. From the onset of the Buhari administration or regime in 1984 to the time of the June 12 election. But something changed at the June 12 election. The use of the judiciary to both truncate democratic process and also to establish legitimacy of regimes was established in 1993
through the
courts, okay, through the exercise of judicial powers in the ordinary adjudication of cases. So you had Justice Saleh, in the ABN case, truncate an administration or truncate a process of establishing the mandate of Chief Abiola. You had Justice Dolapo Akinsanya then truncate the legitimacy of the ING, the Shoneko administration. Yeah. And through that, they then laid the foundations, first for the nullification through Dahiru Saleh, and then, what's her name?
Justice Kwame,
right?
Yeah.
And then, subsequently, the foundations for the Abacha regime. Those two things fundamentally altered the nature of the judicial enterprise in Nigeria. And so when we're here now, and it's not, the judges took notice that all of a sudden they had power and they had relevance. But you know what that means also? We don't matter. You and I don't matter. As citizens, I would never tell anybody, don't go and register to vote. Don't collect a PVC, because that's an entitlement. And there is hope in the idea of carrying a PVC, of being registered to vote. So I could never possibly encourage anybody not to register to vote. But I'm also realistic. Voters don't decide elections in Nigeria. Citizens don't decide elections in Nigeria. Judges do.
Okay.
The judges decide elections in deals, backroom deals with politicians. That means the politicians are now self-interested in who becomes.
Let us meet in court.
Ordinarily, the process is such that the politicians play a backroom role. The judges should control it, the profession should control it, and come up with credible candidates. Actually, in the Nigerian system, the opposite of credible is incredible. So we now are coming up with these truly incredible candidates or nominees as judges. And the worse or more venal a person is, the more you have over them to be able to control them or dictate to them, the more amenable and the more likely they are to become judges. So the idea that someone is independent-minded, professional, excellent, possessed of integrity, intelligent, with proper qualifications is not a right qualification to become a judge. The opposite of those things will make it easier for you to become a judge. That is where we are. And of course, there is what I call the genitalization of the Nigerian judiciary, which is the fact that the pattern, the pathology that manifests itself these days. And what is it? That, to become a judge, to become a successful politician, you need to have a judge in your bedroom. If it is not your bedroom of marriage, it's your bedroom with a side chick, right? And if you don't have that, you're not likely to do it. So you need to have the kind of skin you need to have in the game is skin from a particular part of the body of the opposite sex with whom you have genital contact and who can enable you to access certain kinds of decisions that are made at the highest levels of the judicial system. So you now have wives and concubines and children, all of them making up a majority of the new appointments that are going into the judiciary. And so these days, when you see a list of judicial appointments, but
the colonial masters, they are dealing with us. Our own people, in other hands, they are equally dealing with us. Nah, ndị ajiba na security. Chukwu na ira ya aka. Ife nka, ife kwe. Nathan Noriel no makamele.
Particularly at the threshold level of the High Court, Federal High Court, FCT High Court in particular.
We must continue.
Most state high courts. You give me the list. I'll tell you who produced. This one is from that family. This one is produced by that person. This one is the allocation of that person. That's not how the judiciary was supposed to function.
So the culture that you and I grew up in the 70s, 80s, where judges were appointed purely on merit,
no longer exists.
You mean that we don't have that in Nigeria anymore?
It no longer exists. And no, I'm not, of course, saying that.
And you talked about Ariwola in one of
I talked about Ariwola. I abused him every day.
Exactly.
I woke up every day to abuse him. I'm happy to say that I did. Because Ariwola was a total, complete, something I cannot say unsaid. And, I'm glad the people who have succeeded him are seeing what the records. It's just that, people have got to try and preserve a modicum of respectability for the institution. But I'm glad, as I said, that the people who succeeded him are seeing the mess he created. It's unspeakable.
He put his daughter, son-in-law, brother or cousin or something. I mean, his
brother as accountant, in charge of accounts, his son as a judge, his daughter-in-law as a judge, and so many other things I can't even describe here. But yeah, and of course, in the process of doing that, it's not as if the people who have to do the appointments, because the appointment has got to be done by the executive, and many of them have got to go through parliamentary oversight or consent. So the people who are also doing that have to grant him that so that they can also get their own allocations. So you have, in every appointment round now, you can see that person is that person's child. That, in the penultimate round, or was it the last round at the FCT High Court, 8 of the 12 were children of judges. Directly. You could say there's a particular judge, there's a particular family that has 3 of them from Ekiti. So one is a judge of the Ekiti High Court. Another is a judge in, I believe, the High Court here in the FCT.
Fair peace, Chagomwa for everywhere. Fair peace, Chagomwa for everywhere. It was equal to Vasagan Banon, where case, man, Nigeria is our country. We need to make it work. We are not Ekiti. Onyan Kano Abuja. Onyan Kano Lagos.
And the third is in the Federal High Court. Siblings. Their father was a judge. Right? So, there is this judicial gene running in the veins of this fantastic family. All of them are produced to be judges. Right? It doesn't make sense. Of course, there is not like a judicial gene that exists. It's all a corrupt system. Right? And it's the same thing, you see how these things work. So ahead of the last elections in 2022, while Tanko Muhammad, late, was still Chief Justice, one of his sons became a nominee of APC to go to one chamber of the National Assembly. Another of his sons became a nominee of the PDP to go to one chamber of the National Assembly. Where are they now? When Zainab Bukachua was president of the Court of Appeal, APC quickly nominated her husband to become a senator. Where is she now? Where are they? She's left the Court of Appeal, and what has happened? The husband is irrelevant. And that's the same husband who went to the Senate to celebrate how he was doing things in the bedroom with his wife to, arrange judgments on behalf of for the benefit of his colleagues, correct? Their daughter is a judge. One of the youngest judges ever appointed in our system. That was the retirement benefit. So this is the nonsense that we do. And I pity the young children, to be perfectly honest with you, because many of these children don't want to be judges, but their parents make them trophies. Because let me be perfectly honest with you, judging is not an easy thing to do. Sitting all day from the age of 33, 34, 35, you sit, if you do it conscientiously, it ruins your life. Okay? You sit through 7-8 hours of arguments, listening to people. You have to write, by longhand and keep writing because the system does not provide for you. And how much are you paid as a judge? In any case, not a heck of a lot of money, no matter how many millions they think it is. And people think it is. It's actually not worth the amount of suffering.
As you want it to be, or maybe all around for ndị na-arụ genuinely, mana ndị bataziria because of corruption. Obodi ọrụ ahụ a very lucrative business. Ya ka o ji eme onye bụ otinye nwa ya.
You have to do as a judge, properly speaking. And you go through you start doing that from 33, 34, because your parents want you to go and take that punishment. Nobody should wish that on a person who does not want to do it, who is not intentional about doing it. And many of these young people are not intentional about doing it. The only thing is what? Papa Madi, Mama Sokwe, right? So all these Mama Sokwe's judges, that's how it is. Baba Sokwe's judge, that is how it is. And we've got too many of those now because there's a pipeline of political pressure and political benefit to be served. That's how we've ended up where we are.
I want to speak to the specific cases in recent memory that were so outstanding in their bizarreness, if there's any English such as, as such. Number one, Peter Lifu, Federal High Court judge in Abuja, who openly, unreservedly, challenged the authority of the appeal court in the ADC case. And then, of course, the other one in Lokoja, recently in the case of the NDC registration, say, no, I changed my mind. He had given a verdict last year that NDC should be registered, only for him to come back, and say, no, the People's Peace Movement, I can't call them party because they're not registered, association. They've come back to say, the logo that the NDC is using originally belonged to them. So he's empaneled the judge, the court again, and said, no, don't register. I deregister you, NDC. Can you speak to this?
Well, I've written extensively on both specimens, judicial specimens that you referred to, Peter Lifu and Issa Dashin, right?
Yes, Dashin.
And I took time to look at those decisions, line by line. Yeah. Now, if you take, say, Issa Dashin's case on the NDC, there's a judgment of 10th of December 2025 by which he ordered INEC to register the NDC, that's the Nigeria Democratic Congress, and in which he, and now if you read that judgment, it's a 24-page judgment. There are very important things he says in the judgment. And now what had happened was INEC had notified NDC on the 25th of September 2025 that they were ineligible to be registered. NDC went through the process of serving them notice and then sued to compel them, saying we have fulfilled all the conditions. INEC does not have a discretion. Now, in its counter affidavit in the case, INEC claimed that, in its original letter of 25th of September 2025, INEC had claimed that the reason it was not going to register the party was that its logo resembled that of the APC, the All Progressives Congress, which is the ruling party. Now, when it filed its counter affidavit in the case in November last year, INEC then changed its story to say not that the logo resembled that of the APC, but that it resembled that of the Peace Movement Party, which was not a registered party. Now, in his judgment, Issa Dashen considered this issue and said that the idea that a logo under section 222A of the Constitution, the idea that a logo resembles that of a registered party is not a ground for denying registration. He was very explicit on page 21 of his judgment. Okay? Now, that also can only mean one thing, that the idea that a logo resembles that of an unregistered party or political association is a non-starter. He also said that this movement party issue had not been brought to the attention of NDC. So they did not even know about it. And that it was belated and an afterthought. I'm using his words. Belated and afterthought. Those were in the judgment. Fast forward, his judgment of 26th of June. This year. He then, now in this case, now after the judgment, INEC complies, right? Registers NDC. Then on the 4th of May, somebody else sues. 5th of May, somebody files a case, an application in the court. This person is not a party to the case. He's not seeking to be made a party to the original case. He's not seeking to be made a party to the case. He understands he is out of time. So he applies to Issa Dashen, asking him to grant him permission to apply to set aside the judgment, because an extension of time within which to apply to set aside the judgment. That same application, he then says, and after granting me extension of time, I want to move to set aside the judgment. The judge does not consider the application for extension of time. There's no application to be made a party to the case. The judge just moves and sets aside his judgment. How then did he deal with the issue of logo not being a ground for setting aside? He did not deal with it. In my view, on the face of the record, that judgment is corrupt, and we have a duty to say so. The ruling of 26th of June is manifestly corrupt. And my question is, do these judges actually write the judgments for themselves? Peter Lifu, to the knowledge of anyone who has been to his court, is not well. He is recovering from what appears to have been an aneurysm. That's a stroke. He's got a partial paralysis. Ask anybody who has seen him. How does he write a 103-page judgment? I will not go beyond that. But I think it is important for us to start asking very brutal, honest questions. How is a judge who is barely able to function write a 103-page judgment? Like, seriously.
Who wrote it for him?
Chidi, let me ask you.
No, let me also be perfectly clear. There are very honest judges still in Nigeria. I think it is important to say that. So I'm not sitting down here saying every judge is corrupt. And that is why I do not say that. I focus on specific examples of manifest corruption on the record, because those should not happen. And when they do, they tarnish the judges who are trying to do their work properly and who are making good effort in a bad system to try to live true to their conscience, to their profession, to their judicial oath, and to the law. And we've got to continue to find ways of encouraging those people without endangering them, particularly while they are still in service in a system.
In a bad system. One night in Woka now, what you got no maka Biafra. Get them for Omegro towards it. One night in Woka now, get them born at one to make sure that this bad system changes so that people can actually make good effort in a good system that will produce good results. Make English Hamas. The only thing you make in a good system, every year a good effort, they produce good results. Only you produce no good bongo, none to all the other mana carry. That is that.
System that does not like people who are upright.
I was going to ask you, Chidi, since this, the bizarre case of Justice Peter Lifu, who disobeyed so recklessly or wants only the express decision or pronouncement of the Court of Appeal that stay action on this matter till October, when we hear the substantive. But he hurriedly, summoned the lawyers through a WhatsApp. By WhatsApp, and then the lawyers were there told me personally that you came to, and he was just ranting. They were trying to call his attention that no.
He said on record in the judgment, nobody can arrest my judgment. He said it in the judgment.
So my question, Chidi, this one, and then because there were no sanctions, no reprimand of any sort, apart from the Court of Appeals, reprimand when they gave their stay of action judgments a couple of days afterwards. It would seem to have emboldened, Issa Dashan in Lokoja. So they to weed out corrupt judges, to sanction them, so that to serve as a deterrence to those in the system, so they don't copy what's going on. Because to the best of my knowledge, I don't think anything has happened to Peter Lifu.
Now, the NJC appears to have, that's the National Judicial Council, appears to have developed the doctrine that judges, they can only act on judges upon a petition written by someone. In the past, the NJC used to be able to take up cases of its own motion. Now, it appears to be its doctrine, first of all, that cases can only come to them by way of a petition. Secondly, a petition is only cognizable, can only be taken by the NJC if it is accompanied and under an affidavit. So, they then render it into a process, that is very much judicial, right? So, if a petition is not accompanied by an affidavit or under an affidavit, it is formally discharged. It's not even receivable. That weeds out most of the petitions because most people do not know that that's what the rules require. Then the third doctrine they have developed is that if a matter can be dealt with on appeal, then they will not hear it. When you add up these three doctrines, it weeds out over 70% of the cases that are due to go to the NJC, right? Now, of course, the idea that a case can go on appeal is not incompatible with the existence of judicial malfeasance. But the NJC has developed this doctrine that appeals cure all things. Of course, the problem with appeals is, first of all, they take time. 2, you need money to do that. And 3, the court systems take their time to reach a judgment. Now, by the time, through all of that, if you do not recognize that there is a distinction between the administrative disciplinary track and the judicial appellate track, and you're conflating both, what you're doing is giving cover to judges who may not actually be fit for the system to continue to do damage in the system. And that's what the consequence of these 3 doctrinal pillars has become. That the judiciary is increasingly complicit institutionally at the senior levels in promoting the careers of judges who actually do not belong in the system and are giving it a bad name.
Chidi, as you sit here today, what or who is the single biggest threat to our judicial independence in Nigeria?
I couldn't. If you ask me to say, I mean, of course, there's enough responsibility to go around. I'm not going to excuse senior lawyers from responsibility. There are lots of senior lawyers doing terrible things and corrupting the system. That's a fact. And I think we've also got to own up to that reality. That said, I think the thing I took away from my time at the National Human Rights Commission, because I was the first chair of the National Human Rights Commission who had to live with a statutory framework of an independent institution. I'm not the first chair of the National Human Rights Commission, so people don't come and quote me now and say that's what I'm saying. So before me, you had Justice Nwokede, you had Justice Uchomo, and you had Justice Emmanuel Ayola. They preceded me as chairs of the National Human Rights Commission, right? But that was under a different, that was in which the National Human Rights Commission was part under the Attorney General of the Federation. In 2010, the law was amended to make the commission an independent institution. And I was the first chair under the new regime after 2010. That's the point I'm trying, just so that those who watch this are clear about. Now, the lesson I learned was independence is not donated.
It's not given.
No. You have to work for independence.
And assert it.
And assert it, right? And working for independence is not just material. It's not just so that you have a good house, a good car, and all those things. As a matter of fact, those things can also make you lose independence, because you then begin to think that is where it ends, right? As a matter of fact, as the chair of the National Human Rights Commission, I refused the car. Okay? They didn't know where I lived. And that was also for my own protection. Now, so independence is not just material, your salary and all of that, as useful as those may be. Independence, for the most part, number one, is psychological. It's an orientation, it's your wiring. Number two is your expertise. Because if you actually if you have expertise and the work you do is not speculative, it's built on evidence, people may not like you, but they cannot fault you. That's the second thing. Thirdly, independence is also a matter, an assertion. You've actually got to claim it. You've got to navigate it. And independence, when you're doing independence, people know, because you face resistance, you face pushback. Now, in that sense, therefore, the biggest threat. Now, you see, I hear people say, well, we cannot blame the judges. You know, these politicians come and... That's not true. The politicians know the judges that they go to, they can do business with. This one, they say, that one is a madman or madwoman. No, please, just leave them alone. Let them do their thing. Because they know the honest ones. And some of those still exist. But when the politicians know that they have you in their back pocket and they can always come to you and you issue an interim injunction ex parte in their favor at midnight, that says a lot. So in that sense, therefore, it's not enough to say, well, judges are being importuned by things that they should not be importuned with, because most judges are created by law. What they can do are limited by law. Whatever a court can do is invariably limited by law. Their procedure is constrained and established by law. Everything about a court is determined by law. It's therefore not possible to tell me, well, you can, judges are confused about what they... No, they're not. In that sense, therefore, it is up to the judiciary to advance the cause of independence, of their independence, or interdependence that is credible, which is probably a better way to put it. So, because they've got to exist within the infrastructure of the public institutions. But there is interdependence in that system that is credible, and there is interdependence that's not credible. So, for instance, you have the chief judge of the Federal Capital Territory removing himself from his office with his judges and going to the office of the minister of the FCT to tell the minister of the FCT, we are part of government too, and we have a duty to make government for you function. That is not credible interdependence. That is judicial corruption. This is the same country in which somebody like Emmanuel Araka, who was chief judge of Old Anambra State, was got rid of by Alison Madueke, who was military governor, because Araka refused to go and visit Alison Madueke in Alison Madueke's office. So we've had judges who have independence. J.I.C. Taylor, as chief judge of Lagos State, declined to go and stand in the rope line for General Gowon when Gowon was visiting Lagos, when Mobolaji Johnson was governor of Lagos State, because he said, I have to adjudicate cases in which the military governor and the head of state are defendants institutionally before my court, and I've got to maintain the appearance of independence. No, these days, judges wake up on Sunday, they are doing Owambe with politicians. On Monday, they are sitting in cases involving those same politicians in their own courts.
There will be no independence.
It's not just independence, but also appearance. The
Absolutely.
optics do matter.
Absolutely. Perception and all of
Yes.
those. You mentioned the role that senior lawyers play in all of this desecration of our judicial temple. The one that people are talking about, is the Attorney General, Lateef Fagbemi. In the case before, the ADC case, before Peter Lifu that we referenced, it was a shadowy group that brought that case.
Correct. Like ABN in 1993.
Exactly. Clubbered together, allegedly, from the office of Femi Gbajabiamila, the same Femi Gbajabiamila, Chief of Staff. Now, Attorney General Lateef Fagbemi's
Association of Former Legislators.
Exactly. The registered incorporated trustees of former legislators, He was defendant in that case. But suddenly, it became that, yes, they registered these 5 political parties, Accord, ADC, APM, a couple of others. And my question, Chidi, is, many have fingered the presidency, the ruling party, in the obvious, manifest bid to destabilize opposition political parties, PDP, SDP, ADC, Accord, NDC now. Can you speak, what would make a man such as Lateef Fagbemi, that used to have, well, maybe he still has, some level of integrity and, self-respect within your profession? What happened?
I mean, I'm not going to discuss Prince Lateef Fagbemi as a person because I choose not to. I'd rather discuss the Office of the Attorney General because it's an extraordinarily important institution in the public space. It's the only cabinet office created explicitly in the Constitution, so it's that serious. Now, the fact of the matter is that the quality of the office has degenerated over the years. Now, in 1983, President Shagari decided to appoint Kehinde Shofola as Attorney General of the Federation. Kehinde Shofola declined initially. And in the end, after persistence from President Shagari, and he asked him why, President Shagari, why, and Shagari said, look, in his first tenure, the party dictated whom the cabinet could be. But in his second tenure, he knows the party better, he knows the country better, and he wants a choice as to whom he wants to work with. And he had selected this, he had come to Kehinde Shofola because he wanted to work with Chief Shofola, senior advocate. So Chief Shofola then told him his conditions on which he would take the position, one of which was, as Attorney General, he did not want to take dictation on matters that were legal. And that if he felt that at any point that he was being dictated to on matters that were within the legal purview of the Attorney General, he would be at liberty to quit, to reconsider his position. And President Shagari told him that was perfectly agreeable. That was how he accepted the position. Of course, he only did the job for 3 months, and the President Buhari overthrew the administration. But that's no longer possible. These days, people believe that being an Attorney General is a position you can take to advance your judicial career and your visibility. And Abubakar Malami in particular, in my view, was the nadir. He brought the office of Attorney General into disrepute. And, and some people will, of course, argue that the current incumbent in that position is a kind of an upgrade on Malami, broadly speaking. And so that's one of the reasons I don't necessarily want to discuss him. But the judgment of Peter Lifu, in this case that you refer to, is a scandal. It's an absolute corrupt scandal. Whoever was involved with this, you see, if you want to do these kinds of things, in the school in which I was brought up, you do them by the book, so that even people who are inclined to disagree with the outcome will respect the process and the reasoning and the professionalism. Now, Peter Lifu said he was reading and interpreting Section 225A of the Constitution, which grants INEC a power, a discretion, under certain circumstances, to exercise a power to deregister certain political parties. He converted that power to a statutory duty. Now, the distinction between a power and a duty is one that a student in doing year one in law will recognize. You cannot transform a power into a duty. Okay? But the second thing is that Section 225A says that to be able to register a party, those have to be parties that have not won any seats in specified elections. The evidence before Peter Lifu was that the parties he was seeking to deregister had all won seats. ADC had this number of seats, this other party had that percentage. He then invented something, which is part of the reason why I posed the question, did he write the judgment? Because he then invented something that Section 225A does not contemplate someone who, after winning the election, defects to a new party. That is nowhere in the Constitution. What the Constitution requires is what did the party win at the election, not did the people defect or not. That is nowhere in the Constitution. That's an invention. No judge who is conscious of their office would undertake that kind of invention. That is corrupt on the face of the record.
I'm sure it's something future leaders of this country might want to look at, because that office is extremely
Exceptionally important.
Professor Wanda, some are saying 2027 general elections, maybe Nigeria's last elections. What do you think?
I don't think so.
Because of the dark omens.
That's a bit of hyperbole. That kind of captures the significance and some of the omens that are evident in what's happening at the moment, and what appears, in my view, to be the manifest desire of the regime in power at the moment to not have competitive elections. To preclude competitive elections, preclude candidates on artificial manufactured excuse from being able to compete, and then to have the incumbent declared basically announced unopposed. But I don't think he needs to do that. I don't think they need to go that hog. It's important, even if they want to rig elections, which I think they do, to be perfectly honest with you. But even if that's what they want to do, they even need the optics of a competition to make rigging sound.
Like you said, there are better, processes. There are better, professional, maybe because the professional, I'm sorry to say this on live TV, people like the Anenis of this world who are masters of the game of, manufacturing election results and all of that. Maybe they're no longer.
But they still have people who can help them do that. They control INEC, they control the judiciary, which means, and they've voted quite significant sums to fund the election petition system. So they control also significant, not just goodwill, but patronage. All right, political patronage, judicial patronage, are building mansions for judges, of justice of appeal, judges of the FCT High Court, and all of that. Those things are not donations, right? There's going to be payback.
Let me ask you. It will be bad if I don't ask you this. What's your take? 1 minute on Amukpita INEC. Professor Amukpita.
Josh was my mate in the law school.
Yeah, you said so, law school.
Yeah, he was my mate in the law school, and I
are you proud of him?
I thought I knew enough to say he was a man of basic decency, which I've said publicly. In hindsight, I probably spoke too soon. The stuff that's happened in the INEC under his watch, quite a good bit of very disreputable stuff has happened in the INEC under his watch. And it's sad to see. Let me put it that way. I'm trying to choose my words carefully.
Yeah.
But it's really sad to see. You see, terrible things can happen. But as a leader of trying to build a credible institution, you've got to be firm about the fact about what your ideals are. It does not mean you will achieve those ideals on day one, but you have processes, that continue to be refined in pursuit of those ideals. Now, INEC conducted a sham of FCT elections under Professor Amukbita. And he was talking of the sham as an election. And a credible chair of the INEC would have said there are things that happened, would have acknowledged that there were things that happened that should not have happened. And we are going to institute processes of learning and inquiry to make sure they cannot happen again. Because if you cannot control for credibility in 6 area councils of FCT, how can you do elections at the national level? So that's my worry. At the moment, I've got to say, I do not have the confidence that INEC under the current leadership can produce anything remotely resembling a credible election. I don't think it's not configured. I don't think it's configured to do so.
Can you repeat that, Chidi?
That I do not believe that INEC under the current leadership of my brother and friend, Professor Josh Amukbita, can conduct a credible election in Nigeria in 2027. I don't.
That's damning. That's damning.
And I say it with a lot of pain in my heart.
I start with Samson Itodo. In my opinion, someone who probably the leading authority on election matters in Nigeria. He said, I asked him point blank, I said, is INEC independent? He said, no.
Of course
INEC has always been a captured institution.
No, INEC under Professor Jega was not captured. No. I saw INEC up close and personal under Professor Jega. I saw INEC up close and personal under his successor. And I can say with hand on heart, no, nobody captured Atahiru Jega. And the man lived and breathed every day trying to do what was right.
What of Mahmoud Yakubu's?
I cannot say that about him. I saw both up close and personal. So I'm not saying this was what somebody told me. This is what I saw, just based on what I saw. You can say Atahiru Jega did everything a person of credibility and good conscience could do to make INEC work. And you could see that in the progress. Now, if you look at the 2007 elections, which preceded him, right? About 86, just under 87% of the seats contested ended up in court. He had 10 months to organize the 2011 elections. That came down from just under 86% to 51% that ended up in court. By 2015, that was the first time our presidential elections did not end up in court because everybody accepted the outcome, including the person who was declared loser. Everybody accepted the outcome. 43% of the seats contested in 2015 ended up in court. That was the first time that under 50% of the seats contested ended up in court. With 4 years to organize the 2019 elections, we climbed up to 56% under Mahmoud Yakubu's first election. 2023, we returned to 82.5%, ending up in court. That tells you something about the Jega era, right? And I do think that but part of this is also that what this is meant is the pattern of transferring responsibility to determine winners and losers of election is now settled. It's a judicial thing, not for the voters. Until we return that to the voters, what we call democracy in Nigeria is civilian government.
Last question, Chidi. 2027 general elections. The opposition parties, NDC, Peter Obi, ADC, Atiku Abubakar, SDP, Adebayo Adewale, Shewore, and all of them, Donald Duke, they all have, this determination to unseat President Tinubu. In your mind, is there any scenario where you have reflected deeply and you have come to the conclusion that this attempt to unseat President Tinubu democratically, has become much difficult, has become Achillean?
Well, first of all, we don't know who the candidates will be. As a matter of law, we don't at this time know who the candidates will be.
Because all of them have cases in court.
Not necessarily. Now, we've got this anomaly, that's what I call it, which is deliberate in the electoral calendar adopted in the 2025 Electoral Act. Or is it 2026?
2026.
Electoral Act, right? And so the party primary season has ended at the end of May, right?
Yes,
correct?
and then
We have a 3-month hiatus before the
campaign starts.
before INEC
Yeah,
then
publishes.
publishes. So they've now opened the
portal
for
upload
of the candidates, and you're seeing the changes between
Exactly.
the outcomes and the substitutions. And so there's going to be quite a good bit of litigation on these issues. So it's difficult at this time to say who the candidates will be or will not be, but because the uploads were not happening as the primary was finishing, it meant that you now have these Nigerians like to use the expression mago mago. And when I say mago mago, it's better than any fine English language I can use. But there's a lot of, this is mago mago season, right? And this season of subterfuge and, all of that means that we've got to wait for a while before we know who the candidates are going to be. Obviously, if you go back to the decision of the Supreme Court in Rotimi Amaechi's case in 2008, the Supreme Court claimed that it's parties who run for office, not candidates. Although that they've also created a lot of confusion in that jurisprudence. So, do I see a scenario in which it's possible the ruling party is toughed out? I'm not Babalawo, I'm not a clairvoyant, and speaking honestly, it's not my place to say yes or no to that. I do recognize that President Tinubu is not President Jonathan. His infrastructure and his values his political values are different. Let me put it that way. And so the standard and the challenge of turning him over is a lot steeper, a heck of a lot steeper. And I don't think it's going to be easy by any chance for anybody trying to do that. Let me be quite clear. That infrastructure includes a lot of organized crime. Whether it's happening with his direct instruction or not is not relevant for my purpose. But there are lots of people doing lots of things there in that infrastructure of power who should not be in active circulation, civilized circulation, but they are. And that's really what it is. So that means there is a higher bar. And that is why I think in the course of this conversation, I've said, and I think you're also of the same view, that the opposition are not doing half enough to create the level of worry. Because ultimately, any administration or regime that loses power, it ultimately votes itself out. And the only way you can get them to be in that position is to put them under such pressure, they begin to amass unforced political errors. At this time, I do not believe that the Tinubu dispensation is under enough political pressure to amass the kind of debt or deficit of political pressure required to put them at risk of losing power. Can that change? The time is running short. I do not think it cannot change at this time, but we've got a very narrow window in which.
So if I hear you, we may just witness a coronation next year in January.
That's quite possible. Yes. But as I said, let me repeat myself. There'll be a third time.
Wow. So
I'm quite clear about
even beyond the coronation, we should just prepare for the long haul.
Because a lot of politicians are thinking, oh, well, let's wait for 2031. Yeah. President Tinubu has not done all of this.
Just for 4 years.
Just for
additional 4 years.
Another 4 years. There will be a third term. And anybody who is doing it is not our portion on that is not reading the evidence.
Wow. Chidi, sad place to anchor, but I want to hope that your prediction doesn't come true.
I hope so too. I wish so too.
My head says I don't believe you, but my heart says otherwise.
I wish I am very wrong. I wish to say I don't wish it on the country, but I'll be remiss as a citizen, and I'll be remiss as a person who deals brutally in evidence if I do not say there'll be a third term, because there will be.
Nice to have you once again, Chidi.
Same here.
Please,
Sir.
we should do this. This shouldn't be a 6 months hiatus.
Well, let's see. We have an
Of
election
course,
in
we should do
January.
this regularly before the elections, please. Very important. You carry a very strong voice, and the people need to hear someone like you with a credible voice who has been in the eye of the storm, but especially who has credibility. We need people like you speaking on behalf of the people of Nigeria. Thank you for coming. Much appreciated.
May our country prevail in the end.
I say amen to that. I say a big amen to that.
Yeah, does somebody like Adam Soshimole have the guts to come to this country to talk? Somebody that even impoverished Nigerians? Is he not the person that contributed in bringing Buhari to power, second tenor, to come and mess up? Was he not the person that was clapping for Buhari? Adam Soshimole. If we do free and fair election in his family, can he win? Will Adam Soshimole be proud to call himself former NLC chairman? It is not when he left NLC, this thing that we know what he was doing, how he was using NLC to negotiate for power, and we thought that he was even an activist then.
Is there any scenario that you think that Tinubu can be defeated in 2027?
He is defeated.
How?
What do you mean by how?
How?
It's through our ballot.
Yes, because you make it sound as if it's going to be easy.
He's going to
controlling the INEC, he's controlling the army and everybody.
It's going to be easy. INEC is a human being. Let him mess up. He's controlling the army. That army is a human being. You kill everybody. When you go to a community, you use your AK-47 and shoot everybody so that it will be on record that you shoot the whole distance and carry the ballot box because of you want an incompetent person to be there. It's going to be easy. Nigeria can make it easy.
Lawyer, what was the outcome?
All right, welcome to another edition of Nigeria Unfiltered, a symphony podcast. And our guest on today's edition of the program is a Nigerian Democratic Congress candidate for Ahiazu Ezini-Itembise federal constituency in the forthcoming elections next year. Maxwell Opera, PhD. It's a pleasure having you on the program.
It's a pleasure. You're looking good.
Chief.
You're looking like a senator.
And you're looking like a chief. An ambassador.
Yes, sir. It's my pleasure.
All right, thanks, and good to have you again. All right, let's start with the topical issues in the polity right now. And that is the allegations surrounding the bribery scandal involving the chief of staff to the president, Gbajabiamila, and Prince Adeniyi Adeyemi, who is said to be a fake DG of an agency of government, Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council, who accused the chief of staff to the president of asking for 600 million naira to be appointed as a DG. And he had already, according to him, collected 400 million, leaving a balance of 200 million to fully secure and cement the appointment. And the chief of staff to the president has publicly disowned, one, the council, and of course, the man himself. Meanwhile, the presidency, through a very lengthy statement from the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, said the man is an impostor and that they don't understand what he's talking about. So what do you make of this kind of drama in the presidency?
Another embarrassment to the nation. That's what I make out. You see, when we do something in this country, we should also know the implication of that. We are talking about chief of staff to the president. An allegation of this magnitude is leveled against you, and they want to discharge it with a wave of hand. And the presidency through, I think the media person, Onanuga, is talking about nonsense. Once an allegation is made against you, subject yourself to investigation. Step aside. Let the investigation proceed. We are talking about a very weighty allegation, creating a non-existent ministry. And the money is being budgeted. Who budgeted that money? Both CBN, because this is a criminal conspiracy against the Nigerian people. Do you know how much we are owing? So these people will just go and borrow money. When they borrow money that's supposed to be used for development, they will share it among themselves. No wonder that there is no community who go today, you see a very well-equipped functional healthcare. No wonder that we have high mortality rate in Nigeria. No wonder people are dying as a result of inadequate medical facility. And anytime they are sick, they will jet out abroad. Even shamefully, those of them who are even facing criminal trial will even apply. Give me my passport. Let me go for medical checkup outside, including the governors. So you can see the kind of leaders we have, fraudsters that we have in the government. So I want to align myself with the submission of other people. Once a criminal allegation is made against you, the presidency, you are on trial. The presidency is on trial. You cannot be a judge in your own case. The president you can't be a judge in your own case. You are expected to subject yourself to investigation. Step aside. We have done it before. That of what's the name? Nnaji. Did the Nnaji is there any panel report against him? But once that thing is made, the president advised him to resign, and he resigned, and the investigation continues. Why is that of Gbajabiamila is different? Is it because he's a Yoruba man, and the Yoruba man is the president? They should stop this joke taken too far.
When it is said that this guy has an office at the Federal Secretariat, this guy has a budget, or the council or the commission has a budget in 2026 budget.
First interview? Relax, kid. HR is on 12.
Thanks. I'll find it.
As I speak to you, no arrest has been made. And it's going to end here. This thing we are saying is going to end here. And life goes on. Because they have seen it all. Go and see, even as at yesterday, retired police officers, those who use their life to defend this country, to serve this country, they are protesting. They're occupying the entire premises of the National Assembly and the Asovila, because nobody is paying them their entitlements. Nobody is talking about their welfare. And you created a ghost ministry and use it to be siphoning Nigerian money.
Let's look at, for the sake of argument, from the position of the presidency, that this man is an impostor, that since October last year, that they set up, they wrote the DSS and wrote the police to investigate him. And this man says he has about 200 staff. He has a domiciliary account with CBN, has an office space at the Federal Secretariat. So Nigerians are wondering, can you just walk into Federal Secretariat and pick up an office? If it's possible, maybe I might also go there and pick up an office.
It is a conspiracy. All of them know. They know what they're doing. Head of service is on trial. They know this game. CBN governor, they are involved. National Assembly, they are involved. Chief of, they are all involved. Are they talking to? They are talking to people like we're supposed to occupy now, supposed to start demonstrating, protesting that these people should leave. Who protest? When you want to protest, now they say because you are protesting because of Mazen and the Caliph from Igbo, or because you are protesting because of P2B. You are from the north protesting. They will say because you are no longer in power. You are from the Yorubas to protest. I don't say those who understand. They said because they bribe you to come and destroy your brother's government. So the nation has been divided along ethnic, tribal, and whatever sentiment, religious sentiment. So Nigerians should, as a matter of urgency, say no. We must get to the root of this. That's the only area to move forward.
Before the global community, how does this make us look? One, this guy met with EFCC chairman. This guy met with deputy speaker of the House of Reps. This guy met with diplomatic corps. As many as possible government officials, this guy was meeting with them, organizing summits on behalf of Nigeria or in the name of, how does he present us before the global community?
How do you have a reputation before global community? The global community knows what is going on. It's just like somebody. It's just like a criminal, a family had to know that there are criminals in your place. So one early morning you wake up, see where villagers are tie somebody apart from and be singing a thief, a thief, a thief. Say, who is that person? They say another family of a thief. Okay. I beg. But is that why you people are making noise? Because you know that that's the only thing that can come out from there. So we are known as people who are corrupt. We are known as people whose leaders are corrupt. We are known as people, Nigerians are known as a place where you can do anything and get away with it. That's why they can't take you serious. That's why if you go to any country now, as you arrive at the airport, if you queue on the line to clear this thing, they will see others, they will be opening fast. But immediately you step into the counter, it's your turn. That green passport, if others they are taking others 2 minutes, 3 minutes, your own would be 30 minutes. After that, go and see my yoga, move like this. You do not commit any offenses, that green passport. That's what our leaders, criminal leaders, did to us.
The ADC presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has asked President Tinubu to suspend his chief of staff. Do you agree with this opinion?
Yes. Is this supposed to be waiting for Atiku? Somebody that they level this kind of allegation with verifiable facts. You should have just step aside. Even when the president says, Mr. President, please let me step aside. When I finish, I'll come back. It's right.
All right, let's move on to other issues. UNB said to rally support for the NDC ahead of 2027. Are you planning to contest in 2027 and for what position?
Yes, I have the ticket for NDC ticket to contest for House of Representatives. As is a federal constituency to represent us. So after this, I was given the ticket, and that's where we are. So when I got the ticket, I went to my village. I just informed them. They said I should come, let them, because of what I have done in MBC in particular and Nigeria in general. I thought that they were joking. The whole community, the 2 local governments, organized themselves. Boxes, people, no market that day. So before I could arrive at Imo Airport was full to the brim. It was where it was jam-packed. The crowd was massive. Almost all the traditional dancing group came. Who organized, I don't know. It was later that they told me that they got information that I come under 2 days, they planned that thing. Kill cow, cook.
And you are not aware of this?
I am not aware. I know that I was thinking that it's the party, with the party officials whom I told that will come and welcome me. And I learned that my own kindred in my village, they said that they would do something for me in the evening. I never knew that when the news, everybody said, even those who said that they have not seen me in life, that are coming to see me. So that is what we did. And we have gone around. So the structure is already there. So God being with us, who has been with us, who win the election.
So NDC is right on ground now in
yes,
Imo State.
Of course, we should know. We should know what P2B stood for. So P2B is a credible candidate, tested and trusted. Where he go, we go. Anybody that wants the development of this country, are they following P2B? Because he has the key to solution of this country. What is the key? make sure that the money for the public, meant for the public. That's all. No, from consumption to production, converting night vigil to night shift.
All right, let's look at what happened last week that a lot of persons were wondering what exactly is the judiciary up to. They're talking about the Lokoja Federal High Court that gave judgment that the NDC should be deregistered because of an application by Peace Movement Party. And the NDC leadership and legal analysts are questioning this move. But a lot of persons are asking, should a court be allowed to overturn its own final judgments?
Yes. A judge can set aside his own judgment only on if it is that judgment is delivered on fraudulent ground.
So do we say this case, the NDC case, was it delivered on fraudulent grounds?
No, that's where the question now comes up. In the first instance, there was a judgment delivered. And a meddlesome interloper, a busybody, who called himself an association, unregistered political party, approached court to set it aside. Is my logo. You went to the university and you have your first degree certificate. And this person never went to the university. He's not even right jam. Only for him to ask a court. And when the university failed to register, recognize you, or give you a certificate, now you approach court. Court, to look at this university, they refuse to recognize me as a graduate. And I have the graduate court on order that you should recognize you as a graduate because of the certificate. Another person who is not even a graduate, who don't even know what graduate means, now approach the same court. That certificate of Victor is my own. That certificate of Victor is my own. And the person knows, go and bring Victor, let's ask. The person knows, say, who are those universities that supposed to be people should bring? He just went ahead and granted that application. He did not expressly order the INEC to register NDC. He said, I hereby set it aside and other parties. But the appeal has been lodged in, motion for stay has been filed, served INEC. So everything is moving. NDC is really uploading their candidates.
Some persons have argued that the latest judgment is a strategic move aimed at destabilizing the opposition.
Of course.
Who do you think benefits from this judgment, and who do you believe could be primarily behind it?
The ruling government and the ruling party. They are the people, because they don't want to have opposition. They don't want to have opposition.
Is this born out of empirical data, or is just an assumption?
Well, you can't call it an assumption because of their comments. So I don't want to go into that anyway. The matter is in court.
Okay, let's talk about the democratic space and political contests. High-profile opposition figures have raised concerns that the ruling cancelling the registration of NDC threatens Nigeria's multi-party democracy. Is the judiciary narrowing the multi-party space?
I don't know how to address this issue of judiciary, but I can only beg our lords. You people are the last hope of a common man. Using this medium, our lords, what shall you be remembered for? Oputa is remembered for something. Nnameka JS is remembered for something. And Agolo JS is remembered for something. Kayode JS is remembered for something. Karibi White is remembered for something. Bello JS is remembered for something. I can name them people that have been remembered for something. My lords, what shall you be remembered for? Like Charlie Oputa, Charlie Boy, hate him, but anytime Charlie Boy step into a place, only one thing will open door for him, the name Oputa. The name Oputa. People would like to associate with Charlie Boy, not because of his entertainment or whatever thing, but for the fact that he is the son of Oputa. What did Oputa do? Oputa gave law that stands the test of time. I'm the son of Nnemeka JAC. Oh, wonderful. Your father, that renowned jurist. I'm the son of Anegolo JAC. I'm the son of Karibi White. I'm the son of Kayode Esho. I'm a child of Bello JAC. What shall you be remembered for?
All right, the opposition parties realistically stand a chance in the present political space.
I don't know what you mean by opposition parties. Nigerians are going to vote for candidates in 2027 because the political trajectory of this country has changed. Everybody's everybody's interested in governance because everybody's affected. I met some team of soldiers in Enugu. So when we were discussing, so they told me that any person that I see in the Nigerian army today, in the Nigerian military today, at their level, is a frustrated person. That even they mad that are doing it is because if they drop gun, what are they going to do? So it is no longer, I could remember when we were in the primary school, what do you want to do if you grow up? I want to be a policeman. I want to be a soldier. I want to be a teacher. But nobody says that thing again. In fact, if you even pick from that you are going to join Nigerian army, the entire family will come in for you. They will ask you, go and start selling pure water. Go and start the roasting corn. Because our leaders has destroyed the Nigerian military, destroyed Nigerian police. So when you're talking about opposition, I don't know what you mean by opposition. If you like, I'm in NDC. If you like, if you think that you hide in the NDC or hide under P2B to win election, Nigerians are wise. I just came back from the village. The people that you feel that are don't even know what was going on. They're in front of our village. There is the place they sell all this pame and the chicken and all these things. Those local bar where people gather. If you go there, you see people analyzing politics for me, analyzing how they. So I say, the people that you feel that they are only, they will say no. 2027, they are tired of rice. Barrister, we know you. We know you. We are going to vote for you and P2B. You for this, P2B for this. If others come, we'll also view them. If anybody is qualified in this party, we'll vote for him. You see them there because now they are tired.
If your belly looks like this, your chest looks like this, and your back looks like this. This Monday, we start the Tai Chi walking challenge for beginners.
Give us 28 days, and by vacation, you'll be turning heads. We're starting a Tai Chi walking challenge for beginners this Monday. Are you in?
What happens if my dad starts Tai Chi walking tomorrow?
How old is your father?
He's 56.
Oh, perfect. By the end of the month, you won't even recognize him.
But what if he hasn't worked out in years?
Even better. Tai Chi walking was built for men 50 plus.
Isn't the gym better?
After 50.
So opposition, that we are doing our best. Few of us, we are talking. But you know, the APC, when APC government came into power, in 2015, they killed opposition.
No.
When Jonathan was running, protest is every day something. But now go and do protest, saying that the media people in FCT, podcast media people in FCT, that people will be doing the protest tomorrow, that you are going to start from Photo Square to this thing. Victor, announce it. You'll be picked. You'll be arrested this night by the SSS. Yes, it's as bad as that. So when you're talking about opposition, there is no opposition in Nigeria. We are just trying to see if we can retrieve our country from these political bandits.
Do you think Nigerian youths are well coordinated and prepared for 2027 elections in the light of what is happening in the polity now?
From what I've seen, they are. They are. Some of them are telling me that 2027 is last carry checkup. entered it with the get it right or they forget about it. They are from, are you not seeing the ones that are coming from South Africa? The one of South Africa is the one that is pronounced. So there are some other all these minor African countries. Their one is not pronounced. They were dealing with you to an extent that when you rent a place, a shop, the landlord will just come and lock it. All those ones, nobody is reporting them. Are you get what I'm saying? So they are coming and they discover that this country that they are going for, our own, is more better off than them. But what we don't have is a good leader. It is obvious before anybody now. So that's why whoever is thinking of rigging 2027 election should get himself prepared.
Okay, let's say some people have been saying that 2027 may be Nigeria's last election as we know it. Do you share these thoughts?
I would say yes. All depends on the president. If the government in power want Nigeria to disintegrate as a result of 2027 election, it is in their power. If they want Nigeria to be united, to be happy, it is in their hand. Why is it in their hand? When you feel that you are not going to do campaign, you are going to rig election, and people voted, you write the result. It may not be business as usual. You are calling for anarchy. That's why I said, yes, it is in their hand. I hear what I'm saying. No, it is not in their hand. If they said, come, INEC chairman, if I fail me. Make sure that you do the right thing. And INEC chairman did the right thing. And he lose the election. So be it. So we'll still be united.
Do you trust this INEC to conduct free and fair elections?
Well, they ask one man when they bring out food, very big swallow, fufu. Can you finish this fufu? He said that it's soup that we decide.
So in the light of what you've seen, the few months that he has been INEC chairman, does he engender confidence that he's to be trusted?
Skip the lawyer, skip the CPA, skip the flight, just form your LLC. Let me show you what this...
No. Going by his antecedent, I hear what I'm saying. I can say no. You see what he did, how he yanked off ADC before people raise alarm. And I hear what I'm saying. So, but I believe that from the feelers he's getting, he still have an opportunity. But going by his antecedent, I doubt whether, because he had changed. He never taught me, but he taught most of my friends and unijobs. Some persons I met, including his classmate, they said that he used to be a good man. But now that he has entered there, he has started misbehaving. So, and I pray that he will change for good, because he still have opportunity to do that.
Let's look at, let's return to the NDC and the judiciary once again. In the event that the Court of Appeal upholds the ruling and the NDC is off the ballot, will P2B still be on the ballot? If not, what happens to the millions of Nigerians who see him as their only hope?
It will not stand, except the Court of Appeal also want to set the country on fire. It will not stand. Because there are some people that don't know what we are talking about judiciary. Yes, I may know it because I'm educated, I'm a lawyer. There are some people that in the village, they don't know what we are talking about. I told that I'm from the village. I know the kind of questions they're asking me. People are asking me funny questions. They don't even know what you mean by judiciary. What they are saying is that Tinubu is saying that P2B will not contest. That's what most of them are saying. So when you are trying to explain to them, they say, who are those judges? Are you getting what I'm saying? Because one, most of them, people know that you don't need to be a lawyer for you to know that, for you to appeal against any matter, for a judge to set aside any judgment, it must be predicated on fraud. This one was not predicated on fraud. For you to appeal against any judgment, you must be a party to it, to the judgment. If you are not a party to that judgment, you seek leave of the court to appeal against the judgment. Not a judgment that you are fontus official. And that can be in Court of Appeal, not in that higher court. And then all the parties will be put on notice. This is an association that was not registered. It's not a political party. On what basis are you hearing him out? On what basis are you granting his application?
Fundamental rights.
No, it's not fundamental right. The matter is not predicated on fundamental right. It's a party issue. Are you getting what I'm saying? So if you are, I say that is a fundamental right, that you are interested. The judgment was delivered on the December, and the 3 months expired on March. For you to even apply, you first of all apply to be joined, seek leave, then apply for a motion for extension of time, put the other parties on notice. So on this particular basis, it won't even stand. Are you getting what I'm saying? Because one, I can understand it, I can comport myself. There are some people that cannot comport themselves because Nigerians are tired and we cannot afford to have one party system. Election is all about contest.
So what will be the outcome of if this thing goes the way it's going?
I don't know.
We are already insinuating the present government don't want ABC, and supposing all these things happens.
You should ask them the question. They are the people ruling, but it may not be palatable because of what people are saying. It may not be palatable for them. Nobody can take it. Majority of Nigerians may not take it. So you should ask them. They are the people ruling. They have the intels. I think the DSSS, the police are giving them fillers. Are you know what I'm saying? Because the essence of DSSS, I know, is secret police. You mingle with people. You can even carry sugar cane as if you are selling sugar cane. You can even do as if you are a Mebola. So as to get fillers from people. What people are thinking that will happen if some political parties fail to participate in the election by using the judiciary to destroy the democratic setting. What people will do? They should go to the village, not me. You cannot be asking me.
Do you think Nigerians are properly conscientized to know what to do in the event the government tries to muzzle their aspirations?
To the best of my knowledge, I can tell you yes. I told you that I told you what happened, even those that I thought that don't even know their left and right. You are contesting election now, but as I come, we learn that we saw we have seen your this thing, your activities. We learn that you are now the candidate of NDC. Come, let's talk. You say, what would this one be talking? But when they begin to analyze Nigerian politics, be telling you, imagine where they are telling me that nobody's going to court. They are not ready to go to court in 2027. That is going to be. I don't know whether you get what I'm saying. Because they have lost confidence in the judiciary. Anybody who rigged this election, anybody who thought that he can rig this election should also prepare his way. That's why I told you that the people that are their followers, they are same people now. They not go to market now. Journalists go to market so that you'll be able to understand that these guys are playing with fire. So it won't stand. I pray it won't even get to that extent. I'm sure that judge that gave the distance, he must have been getting the heat now from the children. Because you are putting their life in danger. You don't want those children to be free. That Dashin Abi, what's the name of that judge? It's a Dashi. How will your children be feeling now? How would they be pointing at him? Look at that man that gave that judgment. Say P2B will not contest election. How would you feel? How much are they paying you if actually they paid you money? What is the legacy you are trying to leave behind? Is there you must collect everything? As a lawyer, it's not every brief that I normally take. You can't see me coming to defend a rapist. I don't do it. Yes, the law said that it's entitled to legal protection. Any other person can do it. You can't see me defending a terrorist, an armed robber, somebody after robbing a woman, collecting her belongings, you use bottle and a broken bottle and insert it in the woman's private part, and the woman bleeded and died. And somebody want me to come and defend such a person. I am Maxwell Chibike Opera before I become a lawyer. I have a conscience because I become a lawyer. Without lawyer, I can live. Without my conscience and my soul, I will not live. So you consider those things first. When somebody is asking you to do this, what really come to your mind, for goodness sake? These judges, where is your heart? Where is your heart, for goodness sake, my Lord? Where is your heart? Are you happy with the way things are going in this country? The problem we are having today is because of the Nigerians are not opportune to elect their people. Look at a decision. My Lord, I'm looking at you. A decision of Mrs. Nenaya Oti. A decision of that woman. That woman decision changed the history of Abia State. Oh, is there anybody in Nigeria who doesn't know how Abia State, Aba was just a useless city? In less than 4 years, after 24 years, somebody changed that decision within 3 years. A decision of that woman. My Lord, INEC chairman, can't you do something so that you will be remembered? The woman handed over as a future vice chancellor last week. People were there celebrating him. Everywhere celebrating him, hailing her, celebrating her. And their own is, that's that judge that gave that wrong judgment. That's that judge. Do you even go to church if you're a Christian? Do you even go to mosque if you're a Muslim? Do you even go to social gathering? When you go to social gathering, do the MC also recognize you?
All right. So how would you assess the present government so far, their performance?
Zero.
In every area of
in
life?
every area, zero. The only area I would have just assessed him is the area of bringing a government closer to the people. That's the only area, by ensuring that there's a local government autonomy. That is the only thing that would have made people to say, at least if not that, let us enjoy this one. But what happened? Implementation, lack of political will. You kill a snake, you cannot carry a snake that you kill because of interest of 2027. And that thing has brought him from up to bottom, because that would have been the best thing that would have happened to this government. Had it been that you look at the governors, whether you're supporting me or not supporting me, any governor that refused to release the money, pay the money to that any local government that failed to open the account in their name, that will be assessed by the local government chairman, I will not release the money. But after that, the governors harass him, he now withdraw it. So that one, security is zero now. Of course, we are aware. Economy is zero. And which other thing? Road. The whole of Mbise, where I come from, the whole of Mbise, there is no road in Mbise.
But the Minister of Works is saying that they are doing so much.
Let him come now. Let the Minister for Works. Do you know what my annoyance is? That these people, they have made our youth doesn't watch television again. Do you know that in my house, apart from me and my wife, sometimes children, they don't watch news because of the kind of rubbish politicians come to buy airtime and talk. They are now going in social media. In that social media, when they see that probably you are talking rubbish, they will scroll up. They just use that opportunity to watch football, watch this thing. Even when I come back, I want to watch news. They say, "Daddy, please, that thing is disturbing us, so lower it." Because of this kind of rubbish they are talking. I'm telling you that the whole of Mbise, no road. Mbise, my town, no road. We have 3 local governments here. For you to travel to Aba, you just enter Mbise Junction straight to Aba. That road is closed. So for you to travel to Aba, now you have to go to Umuahia before you travel to Aba.
Overpaying for VPS hosting? Get started for just $3 a month. Inter-server delivers fast, scalable VPS with no contracts. Linux or Windows, instant setup and locked in.
No interconnected route. If you go to the list, you have to park because of we don't have functional local government.
The president now controls almost 34 governors, and he allegedly, and of course, some people are saying INEC is also under the presidency, which we know. So, what do you think? Is there at times you think the possibility of President Tinubu being defeated in 2027 with all this control?
That the worst thing that ever happened to the president is to allow all these governors to support him, because they are all bad. All of them, no exception. They can't even win in their family. their wife and children. I'm just telling you now, on a debate. So for you to even allow these governors to associate yourself with these governors that impoverish Nigerians like this, except to one or few of them that just entered there because of what happened in Rivers State. If I did not enter now, the man will just wake up in the early morning, just after taking coffee, he go say, come, Ananoga, Buala, come in media. I hereby declare you state of emergency. You, what is that name? Colonel Musa, go and become the minister administrator there. That's why you see most of them, they are scared. They are afraid. The ones that are, you can say, let me just manage, somebody like Fobara, somebody like the one of Enugu State, which other one that has one or two things they can show to their people. Every other ones, for the fact that he allowed himself to be associated, just like as I'm contesting an election, there are some people that will come to my house. When they leave, they say, come, Max, I said, yes, is that person? I saw him in your house. Don't allow him to near you, except you don't want this community to vote for you. Do you get what I'm saying? So, and I am telling you that those governors can't even win their polling booth. So somebody who cannot win your polling booth, then how are you going to convince who? Convincing who? Somebody that you are owing his pension, her pension, somebody that you can't even pay his or her gratuity. I'm telling you that I'm from you, Mbise, no road. I can mention the roads in Mbise. No road. There's a place they call Abo Junction. Abo Junction is one of the biggest the town of Mbise. No road. From there to other connected other areas. Go to my village, no road. Go to our agency, no road. Go to Abo, no road. Go to our house, no road. That's the place you are saying that the governor, you are coming to do what? Has the governor even win his own election? Go to other roads now. Go to other rural communities. Upon all the homeowners these criminals are parking. Go and see the kind of allocation they are giving to all these governors. Go to where are you?
Shouldn't we also be blaming the governors rather than the president, since he's making the money available to them?
Because he allowed himself to be messed up by not implementing that local government autonomy.
Do you think it would have been
yes
and solved it off?
Had it been that local government function, I'm from my house, is working from that. I think that was 2 years ago. They gave that judgment. Now, I'll be following my local government chairman on. As the money is dropping, I'm following it up. What to deal with it? If you fail to do it, I petition you to ICPC to pick you. You are not under immunity. Are you know what I'm saying? Because the councillors, the Igwes, everybody will be involved. If it's 500 million naira, that 500 million, how many staff do we have in that local government? What are they doing? After paying salary, we have highest you can't use up to 50 million naira to pay salary. Then the other ones, you put the grader, the payloaders, put all those stratos on that distance, so that they can be grading all those roads, so that people can be assessing their farm. Do you get what I'm saying? So that the burden will not be too much for you, the federal government. Must I be in Abuja to practice law? What is the meaning of practicing law? Practicing law is not to have an office. When you have a matter here, you come here to do it. There are some people that cannot afford to pay house rent here, but they can't go to their village because there's nothing going on there. Then when they get the money, you simply, because you appointed a local government chairman, you just dash local government chairman 2 million naira, 3 million naira. Say, guy, I think you can be collecting money from market and parks. Use it and meet up. Then the next one is that you pay salary. Those of them you are paying 30,000, 40,000. If most of them they don't pay them, then the other money you put it inside your private account and nobody's questioning you because you're under immunity. So that is the problem the president is even having. Mr. President, I don't know if nobody's telling you, Maxwell is telling you now, it's free legal advice, don't pay me. Those governors are the people that are even the people that are even running you down.
All right, let's look at the call from His Excellency to resign, and the pushback from the presidency saying his call is anti-democratic, and that's not the way to go. What's your take on it?
It's not overdue. Is the president resignation not overdue? I'm telling you that I am just a Nigerian. Mr. Victor, anytime I remember that there are Chibok girls, anytime I remember that there are children from Bo, Katsina, Oyo in the bush, I don't even know whether nobody's even talking about them again. I find it difficult to sleep. I find it difficult to eat. Then how would this president, how does he go to bed to sleep? I don't know what I'm saying. How does he go to bed to sleep? If that's why I don't like seeing a accident or anything, all those things, because it normally affect my body. How does this president be going around laughing? And somebody said that you should resign. You said that you don't want to. It's long overdue. So it's a welcome development. P2B made the right statement. He's supposed to resign. Sure. In fact, he shouldn't have waited P2B to say it.
Let's look at what Senator Adams Oshemole said about P2B's leadership qualities. He has criticized his leadership record and political credibility, saying that when he was governor in Anambra State, there was issue of insecurity and he couldn't address such issues. And so why should Nigerians entrust him with a bigger responsibility in Anambra State?
Like someone like Adams Oshemole had the gut to come to this country to talk. Somebody that even impoverished Nigerians. Is he not the person that contributed in bringing Buhari to power, second tenure, to come and mess up? Was he not the person that was clapping for Buhari? Adams Oshemole. If we do free and fair election in his family, can he win? If you see them abroad, even in train station, in airport, in a shopping mall, they cover themselves to use this. They won't allow people to know them because they know what people will do to them. Is will have that Oshemole be proud to come himself, former NLC chairman. It is not when he left NLC this thing that we know what he was doing. How he was using NLC to negotiate for power. And we thought that he was even an activist then. Someone like Showore, people that knew him, and he has a God to talk about somebody that left office with a huge amount of money, without debt in Anambra State.
But let's look at his allegation. Can you use data to knock off his allegation that Bakassi boys existed?
Listen. You also know that Adams Oshemole is speaking from a very negative, hatred perspective. Do I say that to P2B is a saint? The answer is no. P2B is a saint, and it can never be a saint. Nobody is a saint. But to place Adams Oshemole and place P2B, there is no comparison. There is no basis for comparison. P2B rule Anambra State with conscience. Do I say that he's a saint? The answer is no. He ruled Anambra State with conscience. Okay, Adams Oshemole, let's start with this. Leave APC. Go to which party? Go to Accord Party. Which other party? Or APP or AA or one of these unpopular parties in Edo State.
Some of those parties can take exception to it.
Let's go to Donut. Let Adams Oshemole stand. Let P2B stand. In fact, let Adams Oshemole come. Let P2B come. Adams Oshemole go to Edo North. Let P2B go to Edo South. If there's something like that, let's see where crowd will come to welcome. Not rented crowd. I'm talking about organic supporters. So you use that basis. So yes, of course, P2B may have one or two this thing, but P2B remains the best. Go and verify. After leaving Anambra State, no contractor was owed, no teacher was owed, no pensioner was owed. No, he paid everything and left money in the account of all these places and do something that people say, what's stopping P2B from converting those money? Yes, since they have thoroughly investigated this man to see whether they can see anything so that they can pick him. You cannot. You say Adams Oshemole, see Adams Oshemole. who was encouraging rigging of election. Some people, I suffered because of that man you are seeing there. As a student, when we heard that he has been picked, together with Chidi Odinkalu and them, we are there on ground, thinking that we are working with a human being until we see. I beg, let's talk another issue.
Is there any scenario that you think that Tinubu can be defeated in 2027?
He is defeated.
How?
What do you mean by how?
How?
It's through our ballot.
Yes, because you make it sound as if it's going to be easy.
He's going
to controlling the INEC. He's controlling the army and everybody.
It's going to be easy. INEC is a human being. Let him mess up. He's controlling the army. That army is a human being. You kill everybody. When you go to a community, you use your AK-47, shoot everybody so that it will be on record that you shoot the whole distance and carry the ballot box because of you want an incompetent person to be there. It's going to be easy. Nigeria can make it easy. Have you not seen it? It happened in Abia, yes, where somebody said no, and the people said no. They maintain it. And that's why Oti cannot mess up. Because he never misused that, he never suffered in getting that particular distance. Just like my very self, I won my primaries and some people wanted to buy it. The party said no. This is the person. They gave it to me. I indebted to the party. I did not give anybody 1 naira. The people that even wanted to collect it, party said no. So why should I? Because I'm indebted to them. If I leave them, I go against them, God will punish me. That is how it's supposed to be. So when you now said no to this person, like Oti, had it been that Oti messed up, God will just punish him. So that is it. And you that are leaders that are looting money, I've seen, go and ask others. So those who are governors 1999, those who are governors, go and see how they are. They are looking. Most of them are looking like monkey because there is no peace for the wicked. You cannot be looting money that meant for pensioners. You can't be looting money that meant for workers. They can't access their money to buy drugs. They can't access their money to buy BP and the sugar and the element they are passing through. They are dying on hunger. Some of them are sucking gari, and you are packing the money. Immediately the allocation come, you come ready to change. You change it to dollar. You pack it in your house. You will die because of that money. It's a cost that people are placing on you. Most of them, when they are dying, they are raising costs on you, and they call themselves a governor. Cyrene, I'm not jealous. I don't even envy them, because what you sow shall you reap. Check your children. Where is their conscience? Where is their conscience that what are you doing with money? Shame unto you. Shame unto all of you people. Those of you that impoverish Nigeria like this, you will never die a good death. Don't go. Just go to Nyanya. I'm talking about FCTO. I don't want to refer you to my village. Go to this local hospital. Do you know that some people now has resulted to malaria? Somebody will be having malaria. You go to church to ask pastor to pray for you. Somebody's legs will be swelling up. You can't check your kidney, check your liver. You say that they do you this. The man will be robbing you rubbish. Few months you die. And somebody called himself a governor. Somebody called himself a senator. And you are looting money. You have 200 billion into your account. You have 120 billion into your account. Criminal, thief. God will punish all of you people.
Right. Join me in less than 1 hour. Karibia never na program Progress the Analyst in less than 1 hour. Stay tuned, stay blessed. Bye for now.